For hundreds of thousands of immigrants in Florida living here with legal permission, this is a time of fear and concern. The Trump administration, in step with its campaign promise of mass deportations, is working to end temporary protective status for qualifying immigrants from countries like Haiti, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. For years, these immigrants have been permitted to live and work here because the U.S. government agreed their homelands were too unsafe for them to return. Until now. Today, a look at the implications for one Southwest Florida family, hoping the White House will lose its legal battle to deport families like theirs. Eric Tollard loves college. He's an FGCU honors student balancing 3 part-time jobs. His positive attitude makes it easy to miss the stress this 21-year-old carries every day.
Some kids are worried about what they're going to do in their next spring break. Some kids like us, we're worried about, well, are we even going to be here in America for the next spring break? Are we even going to be in this country when Christmas comes around? Should I even start worrying about applying for next semester? Those thoughts are not easy thoughts.
Eric arrived in the U.S. at age 12. His family has called Collier County home since leaving Venezuela in 2014. His father publicly opposed their homeland's repressive government of Hugo Chavez, which he says put their family's safety at risk.
It's not safe. Yes, it is still home to many. It's not safe.
His father, Rohel, fears what would happen if the Trump administration wins in court, successfully ending TPS for his family.
If they deport me, returning to Venezuela, I run the risk of imminent imprisonment and not only being jailed, but being at risk of being sent to a place of torture that they have for people who have stood up in opposition to them as a regime.
According to the Associated Press, nearly 8 million people have fled political violence and turmoil in Venezuela, considered one of the biggest displacements worldwide. The family is trying to secure a secondary legal path to be able to stay. Recent federal court rulings temporarily blocked the termination of TPS by the Trump administration, but the Tovars know the legal battle against TPS is not over.
We know it's going to be repealed. So some people were nervous, some people were panicking. We had a strong faith that this country and that this government would have those checks and balances in place to prevent such a drastic and radical change happening.
Eric and his dad say they're hopeful their family avoids deportation. They believe the U.S. ultimately will defend the contribution immigrants bring to this country, including the 2 local businesses they're building, instead of being labeled a liability.
That's one of their claims for taking down the TPS program for Venezuelans, is that most of the people that came were part of criminal organizations that came here to terrorize and take advantage of this country while the doors were open. Vast majority of people are actually fleeing Venezuela, not out of their own will, but out of the necessity of freedom, out of the necessity of going to a place where they can live with their families and prosper.
To help us better understand the developments on TPS is Indira Demine, an immigration attorney here in Southwest Florida. Indira, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So help us to understand why the federal government grants certain immigrants protection under TPS.
Oh, sure. TPS stands for Temporary Protective Status. It's a designation given to nationals of a particular country if there are events in that home country making it difficult for folks to return to that country. For example, there might be a natural disaster or civil unrest in the home country. In the case of Haiti, in 2010, there was an earthquake, and so Haitian nationals in the United States could not return to Haiti because situations were unsafe. And so the Department of State will designate certain countries for TPS for a particular period of time. Usually that's an 18-month designation.
So, as the name implies, temporary protected status, one would not expect that this would last forever. So help us understand, obviously folks feel it is unfair that this protection be taken away from, for instance, Venezuelan immigrants or folks from Haiti. Why now?
Okay, and so you're right, it's temporary protective status. And so, as the name implies, every 18 months there must be a redesignation of TPS in order for folks to continue to get the benefits of TPS. And the benefits are you cannot be deported during that designation period, you get a temporary work permit, you get a social, and you're allowed to remain in the United States during that time. And while it is temporary in nature, some TPS designations have been around for 10, 15, 20 years. And so if you have been on TPS for that period of time, you've built lives in the United States.
Haiti's a good example, right?
Exactly. They've had TPS designation since 2010. And so 15 years, in that time, folks have built lives, they have children, they've businesses, homeowners. And so it's very difficult to say, we've canceled it, and now you have to return to your home country. Also, in addition to that, as a TPS holder, you would say, well, situations in my home countries has not improved. And so to cancel it now is simply unfair because I'm going back to an extremely dangerous situation.
Help us to understand the recent rulings that, especially this Venezuelan family that we recently saw, you know, they felt that there was some sort of relief in the recent rulings in federal court to their case to be able to stay in the United States. This is just a temporary victory, correct?
That's right. And so March 31st, so just a few days ago, the district court postponed the cancellation of TPS for Venezuela. It was set to expire earlier in April. And so because it's now postponed, folks that are on TPS from Venezuela can renew their TPS. Now, we're not sure how long and how long this postponement is going to be in place. But based on prior litigation surrounding TPS, this can go on for years. And so what we saw in the first Trump administration, a similar thing happened with TPS for Haiti. There was a litigation filed. It postponed the cancellation. And that litigation went on up until the end of the first Trump administration. So I wouldn't be surprised if this litigation goes on for a few years.
Indira Damine, we thank you so much for the update on the situation, and we'll have you back to continue to update us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. We've got more great content for you, from news to the arts to the environment. So be sure to like and subscribe to WGCU's YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms for the stories that matter to you.